So what I want to show in this video is how I went about making a more immersive basement build in a camp. I've been more and more interested in immersive builds and using existing structures and things. This one doesn't use an existing structure, but it uses the existing topography. You'll see I showed you the location where this is, but basically what it comes down to is if you want to get this effect, you have to find some topography that has a jagged cutoff like this one here and this with these rocks. I originally tried this at the dry lake, but the sloping was just too gradual. It didn't work. So this is a good example here. It has to also be high enough so that you can get a reasonable, ground floor. I already put the basement floor in and one of the ground floor pieces here, just because that was I didn't want to film that part because it was kind of annoying just to lining up doing trial and error. But the bottom line is the trial and error you'll need to do is to figure out how low can you get the basement piece, and where will the sort of ground floor piece end up being when you attach it or when you put it next to it. You're also going to see later in the video there's another way to do this so that you can just attach floor pieces if you don't want to do a separate piece. But anyway, you'll see what I mean when I get there. So all I'm doing here is setting up the basement floor first, and sorry if you hear the dog barking in the background. Can't do anything about that. But what I chose to do is use the barn build set here to do the basement. So it had a different color. It looked like a different color foundation. So it'll be the red. And I used the contemporary house build for the top because I really like that one. It just looks good overall. And you know how a lot of basements, at least around here, even walkout basements like this one's going to be, have these kind of upper, smaller windows, right? So I wanted that to be true in this build as well. I put in this wide window here just for some variety and to get a little bit more light coming in. I'm located right along the very western edge of the map on the Ohio River. If you go back to the earlier video, you can see where it's located, right across from the cultist church and next to the Raider settlement that's there. This is a cool location. I have another camp that I set up recently nearby. It's kind of cool for a lot of resources that you might want to grab. So here I've just completed the basement level, put in the stairs. And of course the illusion here is, the whole idea is to create an illusion that this is like underground or partially underground, rather than using the glitch, which I know is really the only thing I've seen as far as doing basement builds. People doing the glitch where you can go underneath the surface of the map. And that just seemed like a lot of work to me, and I didn't want to rely on having to glitch in to do a build and to access the stuff that was in there. So what I said is, how can we use the topography to actually create the illusion of a real basement? So now here you should see how this thing snaps to the outer edge of this foundation that I've set up. Kind of saw it. I think you'll see it again afterward. I can't remember. I'm doing the voiceover after I recorded this, so that's a challenge. But anyway, this is not going to be a very advanced build house. It's just going to be very simple, one floor and the basement. But I'll show you in a second how you can very easily make as many floors as you want, because just like a real house in real life, you can put the stairwells kind of on top of each other, which makes a lot of sense, and it saves you some space. So you'll see that in just a second. But yeah, there's not going to be much interesting decoration or anything going on here. It's just simply how do you achieve the effect of a real basement that is accessible and not using the glitch that some people use to get a basement in their builds. So this is just completing the main first floor, and again using that wide window as some variety. So now out in front you see this is what we're looking at. Okay, now in this particular spot it didn't really line up perfectly. You'll see in a second. Oh, there's what I was talking about earlier, where you can actually snap the floors themselves to here, and by doing that you would probably have a more seamless build. But in this particular case it was just like a lot of distance between that and the actual ground, so I chose not to use that. But that might be a better way to do it depending on the topography that you're using, right? So here I just decided to use the regular floor pieces and go across and make this little porch. You'll see another issue of this particular location is that this little spot here where there would be stairs won't allow me to put stairs because it's because the two pieces sort of compete with each other. Let's see. What am I doing here? Oh yeah, it's just now assembling the roof pieces. But there's a little bit of trick I use so that you don't have to jump up into the front door every time, and I'll show you that in a second. But not aesthetically the best way to do it, but if I was going to do this as a more permanent settlement or permanent camp, I would find a better place that would work a little bit more, so you can actually use all of the stairs and things like that, or have the porch really just line up at the same level as the first floor. So in other words, using that the snapping of the floors like I showed you a little while ago. So I'm just going to snap on the roof here. Sorry for some of the inefficient building. I had stored some things and not other things, and I couldn't remember what I stored and what I didn't store, because I went through and did this whole build before recording just to make sure it was going to work, and then I disassembled it. And as we all know, sometimes things don't click in perfectly. So that's the basic house there, and once you have that, you can do all sorts of stuff with it, of course. And I could have made this wider, deeper, whatever I wanted to do, but this is just, as I said, to demonstrate what I did. So the illusion is, of course, that it's a one-story house with a full basement that's easily accessible, and you don't have to glitch to get it. So here, I think what I do is see about the stairs. Can't remember where the stairs were. There it is. So it just snaps right above it like that, and then which would make it very nice to do a second floor, and then you wouldn't have to use any extra floor space to get up there. You just have like your corridor there, your column of where the stairs would go. So as you're going to see now, so the look is pretty good. It's a little far up, so that you can't just walk in. Now normally you would just put a stair there, but as I said, the stairs don't really snap in place because of the way this is it's really two different floors, right? There was my attempt to see if I can get this up a little bit higher, but I couldn't get those porch pieces up any higher. If the ground and the situation was different, I could probably do that and not even worry about it. Or as I said, you can snap the floor pieces right to the existing first floor and go from there, just depending on the location you're at. I'm probably going to try this again and do a more permanent version of this. I'm just going to scour for other kinds of locations to see what works. But for a 10-minute house build, I think this is kind of cool, and you'll see the finished version here. I don't know what I'm looking for here. Oh yeah, this thing. This is my little trick for simulating stairs. This stash box works perfectly. It's the perfect size, so that you can just walk up and down it, so it acts as stairs. So, not the most immersive thing, but at least it would prevent you from having to jump up and down every time you went in there, if that mattered to you. So, I think that's about the end of this. Let's see, what else did I put in here? Oh yeah. So this huge basement area really is cool because you can do all the stuff you would normally do if you want to set up a more immersive, realistic house up top in the first floor and second floor, and then have everything stored in the basement for your workshops and workbench and everything else. I was even going to put the vault entrance, the shelter entrance, in the basement, like under the stairs or something like that too. So there's me with my awesome blue suit on. Hope you enjoyed this video. It was fun to do, and as I said, I want to do one that's a little bit more elaborate, but in the meantime, hopefully this helped you figure out how to do a more immersive and non-glitching basement on your camp build. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, have an excellent day.